And welcome back to Practice Excellence Live. I'm Tom Herbert, the business editor for Accounting Web, and we're talking small business tax issues. We've just had the first session of Practice Excellence Live this morning, and this is just a little bit of extra content to answer some of the questions that perhaps we didn't get to or we needed to dig down a little bit into. Thanks to Free Agent for sponsoring this session, and from Free Agent we've got the Chief Accountant, Emily Coltman.
Thanks, Tom.
And we also have Rebecca Cave, our consulting tax editor and tax lecturer. Rebecca, I'm going to go to you first. We had a question from Not Big Four looking for more information on the proposed penalties regime.
Yes, this is one of the consultation documents that came out in mid-August with the Making Tax Digital consultations, and it's been overlooked somewhat. I think it was called Making Tax Digital Tax Administration. So if you go to the HMRC page on gov.uk, click on Making Tax Digital, and it's got all the consultation documents there, and you can download it from there. But I think HMRC have not had much response yet on this consultation document, because everybody is concentrating on the other issues concerning Making Tax Digital, like moving people onto the cash basis and the quarterly reporting and keeping records in a digital format. But the penalties penalties are going to have to change to align with the new way of reporting to HMRC. But HMRC is taking this opportunity to look at the whole structure of penalties for late submission of information and the late penalty of tax. And those are the issues that they're addressing in this consultation document.
Do you think there would have been more of a discussion, more of a fuss, if it had just been a consultation document on its own rather than a little bit buried in the MTD?
Certainly. I mean, this is not the first part of the consultation on penalties. They first started, I'll just turn over my notes here, it was February 2015 when they first released a document on penalties, and this document that's come out with Making Tax Digital is a sort of follow-up to that. The closing date of consultations is the same as all the Making Tax Digital consultations, the 7th of November, but it certainly has been buried. And also it's interesting because the whole structure of penalties was revised relatively recently, and it was only 2009 when the new structure of penalties based on behaviour came in, and now they're looking at it all again, which to me seems rushed.
That is interesting, and you mentioned that they're looking at penalties for late payment and late submission. How about penalties in case of error or inaccuracy? Is that part of this consultation?
It's not part of this consultation. No. They are saying that they will look at penalties for mistakes and errors at another stage. But at this stage, they're just looking at how to encourage people to pay on time and submit documents and returns on time.
Interesting.
And at the moment, people get very severe penalties for being just one day late, especially with VAT. So they want to bring all these taxes under one penalty regime, so you don't have different rules for VAT compared to, say, income tax.
No, exactly, because at the moment you've got the surcharge regime for VAT, haven't you? Where is it your, if you're a small business, it's perhaps your second VAT return you'll get penalised for. And as that goes on, then the penalties all mount up. As you say, if you're a day late submitting, the surcharges start mounting up and getting higher.
Interestingly, the whole system of surcharges, there was law written to override that. It has never been brought into place.
That is
interesting. It's never been brought into effect, because somehow the surcharges raised a huge amount of money for HMRC, but I wouldn't like to say that that was the reason.
No.
Certainly not.
No.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rebecca. Emily, moving on to the next question. We had an anonymous person write in asking, you referred to the reverse charge in your presentation on the flat rate tax. Just exactly what is the reverse charge?
Yes, I perhaps need to explain that in a little bit more detail. The reverse charge kicks in if a client buys services in from the wider EU. Basically, they have to record the equivalent VAT that they would have paid on the return, but they have to effectively act as both the supplier and the customer on the VAT return. So they have to work out how much VAT they would have paid had they bought that service in the UK, and they have to put that both into box 1 and into box 4 of the VAT return. So the net effective VAT due is actually nothing at all. And they have to put how much the service cost into box 6 for sales and 7 for purchases. So as I say, they're acting as if they were both the supplier and the customer. So it's to be honest, in my opinion, it's a little of a nonsense, because it doesn't result in any sort of additional VAT paid or additional VAT reclaimed. It's just admin. And assuming that the VAT return has other content on it, that you've got ordinary sales, and if you're not on the flat rate scheme, ordinary purchases, then HMRC may not even notice it's there. So it is open to question, I think, about, well, what is the purpose of it?
However, I would say with the reverse charge system that the reverse charge counts as turnover. So if you're not registered for VAT and you are buying services in from, say, Germany, whatever, that can tip you over the turnover threshold. Yes.
Can it really?
Yeah.
You've got to include that when you're working out your taxable sales. You've
Yes.
got to include how much you'd put into box 6.
Yes, you do.
Good heavens above.
And for more information on the on this reverse charge, I think Free Agent have put together a document on that we'll link to in this video and in the accompanying article, and there's more information on gov.uk, I think.
There is indeed, and the piece that Free Agent's put together, which looks at how Free Agent handles the reverse charge, because we do it automatically, there is a link off to gov.uk where it describes what the reverse charge is and how it works.
Great, thank you, Emily. Staying with you,
Yes.
we're going to go back to the FRS percentage. Could you give us the latest details of the latest case you spoke about during the session? So NH has said the last info I have is from March 2016, which slightly contradicted what you said.
That is interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm not 100% sure which particular part of the legislation you're referring to or what specific contradiction. But what I'm looking at here is a piece from Accounting Web that was actually written by Rebecca here.
We can bring that up now.
That actually updates the guidance that was released in March. So Rebecca's article talks about just this, the VAT flat rate scheme guidance was flawed, and how in May 2016 they responded to say that people should use normal English when choosing their percentage.
Right.
So I think there is more recent guidance that, as you quite rightly say, as NH quite rightly says, updates the previous guidance and corrects it. That's my understanding.
This is a good point, actually. When you're looking for guidance from HMRC, always check that you're reading the most recent notice or the most recent version. If you're going to rely on some advice in a revenue manual or a VAT notice, take a print of that notice, date it, because you're making a decision at the date that that information was available. If that ever gets challenged and the information is then later changed at a later date, you need to show what information you relied on.
Exactly, because it's not always obvious when the website is updated, is it?
No, not at all.
And it's not circulated information about, we have updated this page on our website and that page on our website. You have to keep going to look to see if there's been anything updated.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's all the unanswered questions for now.
Thanks.
Thank you to you, Emily, and to you, Rebecca. Remember, you can download all our Practice Excellence sessions from the accountingweb.co.uk, and there's also information provided in the Practice Excellence Hub, which you can download. That's it from us. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Free Agent, and thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.